if I'm live yet. Let me see. Let me see if I can check for my iPad. Okay, I think I am. Hopefully, I am coming through and I'm not just talking to myself, because that has happened to me one time on this channel. So I want to basically do a follow-up to another conversation I had on the channel. Hey, Carmen, I'm so glad you put something in the chat, because I was literally just saying, I think I'm talking to myself. I don't know if I'm actually live and showing up. So thank you for that. Hello. So this video is basically a follow-up to another video I did. And let me pull up the title, because I'm not remembering the exact title, but I was talking about Black women and dating. So a little different than my normal topics. I know some folks just subscribe to me strictly for the jobs, like who's hiring, give me some job tips, advice, all of that. But I do like to weave in a couple live chats on different topics that are of interest to me. So normally they are work related. This one was not so much work related. It was more of just, talking about this article that I had come across in this video about this sociologist that was saying to Black women, hey, you guys need to, for her, she was specifically talking about her book that said Black women need to date or marry white men. So I will basically be following up to that and talking about another article and some information that I found, where I'm going to talk about it and also give my thoughts. So bear with me here, because I do need to pull up the articles. But I thought it was a good follow-up, because they also, in this article, basically kind of talk about that same sociologist and a few of her points, because we talked about on the channel some of the points that she made in the video. It was more of like, well, all the Black women that I know, they had a hard time finding love with Black men, and they had these different challenges, and so basically they need to date other races of men. And so there was missing a lot of data, which she might talk more about in her book, but there were a couple things missing in that, to where she got to the idea that Black women should date white men. Now, my stance, I think people should date whoever they want. For Black women, I think that definitely Black women should date people of different races. I definitely agree with that. And I will tell you why. So let me see here. And sorry, you're looking at the flat of my face. My computer's over here. Hopefully I was not looking at this from my phone. Okay, no, I wasn't. Okay, here it is. So I came across this article and I used the same title because I thought it was interesting. So let's see. Hi, Apostle Edgar. How are you? And Carmen, thank you so much for dropping by earlier. I saw you in my premiere. I definitely appreciate you. Okay, so here's the title in the article. Hopefully I'm sharing that now. Let me know if I am not sharing it. But yeah, this is the title. With interracial relationships, we're down for the swirl when it's good for the Black girl, was the title. So they talk about a couple of things. Main highlight for me was just the fact that they pointed out some research. Now, this is back 2008, but they did highlight just the dating statistics and comparing Asian people to Black people. So one of the studies here, let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. And I think we generally know this, right? We can see with our own eyes what's happening in our communities and the world. But near the beginning of the last decade, Pew Research Center found that 22% of Black male newlyweds in 2008 married outside of their race, compared with just 9% of Black female newlyweds. Among Asians, the pattern runs the other way. So about 40% of Asian female newlyweds married outside of their race in 2008, compared with just 20% of Asian male newlyweds. So I do want to highlight that They didn't talk a ton in here. I really just pulled it because of the topic, but they did refer to the woman that wrote the book. Her name was Cheryl Y. Judas. And she wrote this book in 2018, Interracial Relationships Between Black Women and White Men. She's a Northwestern University sociologist, and she wants Black women to consider interracial marriage. She says she has a message to Black women. Please do not limit your search to only eligible Black men. Be open to dating outside of the race. And so going back to the research by Pew Research Center, let me make myself a little bigger here. I'll remove that for just a second. But that research is really interesting because if you look at those stats, I'm going to show a couple more here in a bit, but the statistics, like if the sociologist, Miss Cheryl Judas, or Mrs. Cheryl Judas, I think with sharing that in the presentation he gave a little while ago that I talked about on the channel, I think that will help, because realistically, if you see stats like, well, more than double of your men are dating interracially, that would probably make a better impact of like, maybe you should do this too. Because obviously the more people interracially date of a certain pool and they're going outside of that pool, the less there is in the pool. So naturally you should be going to a different pool. And we see this, obviously economics, I talk about it, if relating to jobs, if you're in a market, let's say you're in New York, or let me say Indianapolis. If you're in Indianapolis and you see that there's not a lot of companies hiring and there's a lot of people hiring in that market, you may need to go to a different location. It's just like common sense would probably tell you that. So that's my take on that. And then I'm going to show you a little more data. Let me see here at the comments. Hey, hi Sharky. And I'm so used to saying Sharky, Shark Fin Tech. I have to get used to your name. Shark Fin Tech, have you begun posting videos yet? I'm curious. And hello. And Apostle's doing good. Glad to see that. Love it. Oh, Sang. Oh my gosh. I haven't seen you in a while. How are you, dear? Hello, hello. Hey, Murad. Hello. How are you? Okay, I love it. Everyone's getting to know each other in the chat. Perfect. Okay. So I want to pull up some other information here, because I think, when you get into some of the data, it starts to make a little more sense of why this sociologist, and what we talked about in the prior video, was saying, now her book title was very much focused on white men, but she's basically just saying date interracially, which was my point. I'm like, no, you shouldn't tell people to just date one group of people, no matter what group it is, unless there's some big reason you're doing it. You should, though, say, you should not say you're only interested in a certain type of person, unless to this person that is literally the only thing you're attracted to ever, which I think would be still a little bit weird. I know some people say that, but I mean, I just don't think it's going to be as common, especially in a melting pot like the United States. You come across so many different people. I'm always a little surprised when someone says, I'm only attracted to a certain type of person. And sometimes I think for some women, it might just be because they've only been in their certain group or within their specific group of people. But that's just my take on it. So let me pull up this other article. And I had to get a couple of snapshots of it. Let's see. I have way too many tabs up, guys. Bear with me. Okay. Is this the one? Okay, one moment while I look. Oh, and I'm talking to myself. Sorry, guys. Can you guys hear me? So, Apostle Edgar was saying, do you think soulmates exist? Are you aware of the thought? I do not, yeah, I do not believe they exist. Apostle said, like she practiced the answer. Yeah, I personally, I don't believe they exist. I just think that there are certain people in the world that you connect with more naturally and others that you don't. So I don't believe there's just one, soul person that you connect with and that's your one true pairing. I think that there's multiple people that you could connect with. I think the people that do believe in soulmates heavily, either they were taught that or they strongly believe it, or they actually found someone that they feel is their soulmate. So maybe I would think differently if I met someone that I was like, oh my gosh, you're like completely different. You're definitely my soulmate because like we're just, I don't know, the bond is just, it's just there. I don't know. I think that's the only way I would think that soulmates exist is if it actually happened to me to where I think, oh my gosh, it has to be a soul pairing. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Yes, that's fine. I repeated my answer. I did practice my answer. That's literally what I was saying. I think I said something else while it was muted, but now we'll never know. Yes, okay, great, Sharky. And Sharky, you have to let us know if you have posted a video. Okay, so I'm trying to find the original article I was looking at but I think I'm just gonna have to go with this one and pull up. Wait, let me see. It's terrible how many tabs I have open. Okay, yeah, no. I'll go with this one and I'll just kind of highlight some of the things I found earlier. So I'm just going to say it to you just because I have pulled it from my notes. So a couple of things from the data. So there was a study, and this was under JSTOR.org. There was a book put out called A New Marriage Squeeze for Black Women, the Role of Racial Intermarriage by Black Men. And this was by Cal D. Crowder and Stuart E. Tolnay, the Journal of Marriage and Family. So this was put out in 2000. So this is older, but I thought it was interesting because they did a lot of like just kind of backtracking with some of the declines with the marriage rates. So naturally, marriage rates have been declining, but they pointed out in their abstract, they were saying recent declines in the rate of marriage among Black women have been accompanied by substantial increases in rates of interracial marriage, especially between Black men and non-Black women. Explanations for the retreat from marriage among Black women have focused on deficits in the quantity and quality of available partners. So, numbers game. I talked in the last video. It's literally a numbers game. Why would you be in a pool where it's just like, there's an imbalance of supply and demand? It just doesn't make sense. So, the role of racial intermarriage largely has been ignored. This study examines the impact of interracial marriage by Black men on the marriage prospects of Black women. So the impact of Black men marrying outside the race, and what's the impact of Black women who want to stay, and I shouldn't say they want to now, but in history, like if you talk to grandma, like this is what they've traditionally done, is stick with Black men. And I have other thoughts on that because of the poverty rates video. Over half of Black men who grow up in poverty stay in poverty. The odds are better for women, except when they decide to have a child, naturally with a Black man typically, and then it goes down. So these, like the numbers game and also the poverty impact that it has on Black women really tell me like, come on, we should definitely consider other types of men. It just doesn't make sense in my opinion. Let me go back to the chat here. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. Would you date interracially? I have dated interracially. Yes. So, I don't see a problem with it at all whatsoever. I would date interculturally, interracially, all of that. I don't see that really mattering in my opinion. But my mom also like never taught me to like, you need to only date Black men. Actually, her favorite person that I dated was not of my race. So I don't know. There's not that impact. So I think that may be a part of why. Plus, I've been around all types of people, and I'm appreciative of different types of people, different backgrounds, and all of that. So when I come on here and I talk about diversity and inclusion, I mean it because I really appreciate different cultures and different people and different backgrounds and all of that. So in my personal life too. Hey, House of X, welcome in. How are you? What's going on? Let me see. Wow, stay in poverty, scary. When was that study done? So that I did on another video. Let me pull that one up just so you know which video to go to. So I won't really point out too much on that. It wasn't very old. They looked at over the course of years. So let me see. That one was, oh my gosh, I make a lot of video, guys. I make a lot of videos. Okay, let me see here. So I think that one was titled, wait, was an ambivert, dun, 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 dun. Okay, it can't be that much far behind. Okay, I'm not finding it for some reason. Oh, wait, okay, I think it's this one. I think it's the pay disparity between Black women and white women. I might have talked about that, or, oh no, sorry. It's Inheritance of Black Poverty. That's the title of the video, Inheritance of Black Poverty. And I talk about the stats and the differences between Black men, Black women, white men, white women. Black women and white women pretty closely have the same odds if they grow up in poverty to get out of poverty. I think white women have a slightly better chance, but the percentage points were minimal, right? When it came to white men and Black men, it was just mind blowing. It was like only 20% of white men that like start in poverty stay in poverty, compared to slightly over half of Black men. If they start in poverty, they're staying in poverty. And in addition to that, it was like if they started a decent, like in a middle class family or something, or above that, their decline into poverty, the rates are increasing. So that is scary for sure. It's scary. But then when you think about women, the comparison was interesting that the Black women had a good chance of getting out of poverty. I mean, which makes sense. Black women are some of the most highly educated in this country. So you don't get more education mostly without getting a higher income and bettering your chances of, growing financially as well. Now, we should probably talk more about the student debt, because there's an impact that happens with Black people there at higher rates than white Americans and other cultures. So, but that's not what we're planning to talk about in this video. And what was the other point on that? Oh, and then just the disparity that happens when Black women have kids. Just like if a woman was to have a kid and not be married, your likelihood to probably get out of poverty is going to, increase. You're probably going to stay in poverty. So naturally, when Black women would have like a family, and they showed it at different age groups too. So check out the video. We go kind of in depth in that. Okay, let me look. Did they outline? They mentioned some of the barriers, but to me, barriers that Black men have compared to Black women, I mean, at different ages, that cannot be the only excuse. There's something else going on there. Because Black women as a group, we have a lot against us too. We we're paid less. There's that. There's a lot of challenges that women of all races have to deal with and go through naturally. So for Black women to be doing better than Black men, I think that's very interesting. You don't really see that in any other group, any other racial group, honestly. So something to think about, something to explore. Sorry to take you off topic, no worries. So, okay, let me share this one. Wait, let me pull up these notes. So let me make sure there was anything else I wanted to put in here. Oh, okay. Oh my gosh. So the other thing I want to talk about was going back to this sociologist, why she said in her book, Interracial Relationships Between Black Men and White Men, or Black Women and White Men. I thought it was interesting that she didn't in turn study Asian men and Black women, because when you look at stats where 22% of all Black men newlyweds married outside their race compared to 9% of Black women, and then you look at Asians, 40% of Asian female newlyweds married outside of their race, so almost half. And compared to 20% of Asian men, it's like, it is kind of like, goodness, which one is like, which is worse? Like, I don't know. It's interesting. I could see her maybe making that argument of, well, maybe Black women and Asian men should start dating. I don't know. It's very interesting that she drew the conclusion, well, Black women need to date white men. That's the conclusion. But for me, seeing data like that, I'm like, okay, I'm curious. Maybe there are books that push that agenda or whatever, or push that information out. But I thought that was interesting, and I would love to dig into why it happens that way. Let's see. Okay, and then the other thing that came up in the JSTOR study from A New Marriage Squeeze for Black Women was that they found, so they pulled data from 1990, so they went way back, and they looked at intermarried Black men and said they're selective of those with the highest levels of education, income, and occupational prestige. Second, they found that multi-level analysis using both, they did 2 different studies that showed that the level of intermarriage in metropolitan areas is significantly related to the marital behaviors of Black women. And then they also said that local rates of intermarriage among Black men reduce the likelihood that Black women currently will be married and that they will make the transition to marriage. Then they kind of wrapped it up and said these effects are especially acute for highly educated Black women whose marriage markets are defined by those Black men who are most likely to intermarry. Finally, with their analysis, it indicated that intermarriage affects the marital prospects of Black women by negatively affecting the pool of economically attractive marriage partners in the metropolitan area. So, and it makes sense. Like, I think it's a general fact that most women, or I think most women should consider economics when they're dating, like at least dating for marriage potential. So, interesting. I don't know what the thoughts are there, but I'm going to pull up this next article that shares some other data. Hey, Barry, what's up? How are you? Oh my gosh, Barry, I haven't seen you in a minute. Let me see. Apostle had said, what race do you particularly find attractive? That's kind of hard for me. For me, my traits are, so basically my ideal man is Jason Momoa. If you ever watch my channel and I happen to bring up Jason Momoa, that's why. It's like the ideal. And I'm just thinking of like celebrity crushes, just because that could kind of put it in perspective for you. Paul Walker, I cried when he passed away, but he was a man that I was attracted to. Chadwick Boswick, very attractive man. Will Smith, like it varies, but generally tall, muscular, like, doesn't have to be like super muscular, but you know, like protective. Like you could protect me if I probably needed it, and tall. So I don't like really. I don't typically go for really thin, but there's also an intellectual piece for me. So if I get to know someone and they're not my, you know, tall, muscular, whatever, but they're smart, especially if they can talk finance to me or tech a little bit, explain things for me, that like, it's like, oh, that brings the attractiveness like way up there. I'm like, oh, I'm learning from, like, if I can learn from you, that is really helpful. If I feel like I am teaching you everything, that's definitely not. So I can tell you that's what I'm definitely not attracted to. So yeah, I don't know if that answered the question. This chat is like oh, beyond my own. Yeah, so I mean, I'm definitely attracted to Black men. I mean, my dad is Black. You know, brother, like I've grown up around Black men, so naturally I'm attracted to Black people, but I've also been around a lot of white, Asian, Hispanic. The guy in the SZA and Doja Cat music video, very attractive Asian guy. I don't typically see a lot of Asian men in media, so I probably can't talk to like, you know, oh, this attractive Asian man. Or like, yeah, but I mean, I find multiple men attractive, but tall, you know, have a little muscle. That's thumbs up. And of course, like I said, for me, like if you don't fit that mold, but I got to know you on like a mental level, like that's very like attractive. So anyway, hopefully that answered your question. And hello. Races are they marrying? Does it say? It did not say the races, I don't think. Especially now, I will say within the Asian community, I've come across Asian women that have literally told me they will not date an Asian man. I've never understood that really. And these women were American Asian, so Asian American. It wasn't like they had grown up in like Japan or China or wherever in Asia. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, but I have definitely seen personally uh, kind of that trend of dating white men. So I would guess probably white men, but who knows? For me, like naturally, I would probably date. I don't know. It just depends. So, but Black men, white men. I mean, I don't really see a lot of the differences. Men are men, in my opinion. Like men are just men. Hey Yolanda, hello. Let me see here. Okay, I think I answered all of Pow Lindo. What's up? Oh my gosh, my buddy from Italy. How are you? What is going on? Hello. Do I subscribe to the alpha male submissive female ratio or 50-50 on leadership of household? That's an interesting question. The alpha male, I don't really understand the whole alpha male thing. But I believe in traditional homes. Maybe that answers your question. I do believe in traditional home. Like men take care of things, like, you know, and the women take care of the home. I naturally do believe in that. I date an Asian, lovely. Lindo. I'm fine, thank you. What about you? I'm doing well. I'm like in vacation mode, so this live is probably going to be really weird. Sorry, guys. I've been on vacation for a little bit, so I've been like, I'm like vacation mode. I would have had a glass of wine in this video, but I realized that my rabbit, or you know, the thing you use to open the cork, it doesn't work. So yeah, but I would have had a glass of wine. So instead, I have my tea, just normal. But I really wanted this to be like a casual Thursday wind down type of video. Won't. Next time, I gotta get a wine opener. Okay, so let me share this and make sure this is actually. Oh, it's not. Wait. Let me. This is not the one. Let me stop sharing that. Okay, let's see. Oh my gosh, Paolindo. It's 3 a.m. No, I would be sleeping right now. I don't snore, but like I'd be sleeping heavy right now. Okay, let me see. Where in the world? I don't think it's that one. Oh my gosh, why do I have so many tabs open? This is so bad. Ooh. Okay, wait, what is this? No, that's not it. Sorry, bear with me. Oh wait, is this it? Okay, this isn't the one I was referring to earlier, but this is another study that I found. So they're talking about the racial divide in the US marriage patterns. Let me see. So this is what I wanted to show. So they broke out by ages. By ages, the percentage of women that were getting married. So it's a little bit disappointing, I guess, looking at the rates. When you look at like all of the other races of women compared to Black women, but let me see what they said here. So racial and ethnic differences in marriage are striking. The median age at first marriage, roughly 4 years higher for Black than for white women, 30 versus 26 years. So for white women, typical age is 26 years versus 30 for Black women. This is from 2010. At all Asians, Black Americans display lower marriage rates than do other racial and ethnic groups. That's scary. Oh, let me do this for my thing dies on. Okay. So this is crazy. But yet, like, people find it wrong to say, like, yeah, Black women should probably date outside the race. So consequently, a far lower proportion of Black women have married at least once by age 40. Oh my gosh, that's a little scary. Wow. So by like, now I get it. A lot of women are saying like, hey, no, I don't even want to get married. I'm good. I don't want kids. I don't see the value in marriage. Like, I'm good. But there are definitely enough women that want to get married. I would say more women want to get married than don't. So no, I don't have stats on that. I'm just speaking generally from conversations that I see happening. And just also my personal perspective of like friends around me that have said like I want to get married. So they're saying their data from the U.S. Census Bureau American Community Survey. This is from 2008 to 2012. It shows that nearly 9 out of 10 white and Asian or Pacific Islander women have been married by their early 40s, as had more than 8 in 10 Hispanic women and more than 3/4 of American Indian, Native Alaskan women. So it's interesting that it's a little lower for American Indian or natives as well. And so they get to Black women, yet fewer than, let me make this a little bigger so you can see. So that might be too big, but fewer than, oh, sorry guys. So fewer than 2/3 of Black women reported having married at least once by the same age, which is 40s. So by their 40s, they're not getting married at least once, right? So this is data I would have liked to have seen the sociologists talk about, because this, like, looking at the sheer stats would tell you, hey, Black women, if you actually do want to get married, you may want to consider other groups, because we as a group we're not getting married. And who traditionally bears that I guess burden of the marriage. Like, if people are marrying within a group, that responsibility will fall on the man, because naturally the men are the ones that are proposing. So anyway, interesting findings. That's kind of what I wanted to share tonight. I won't go through everything, and I can't find that other article, which I'm a little upset by, but I had kind of copied and pasted a bunch of different notes from the studies that I wanted to talk about. So I did bring everything together. And overall, I stand by my initial statement and what I talked about in that original video, that car screech. I don't know if you guys hear that, but I do stand by my original statement that Black women should definitely date interracially. And it's already, I mean, if you look in Africa, there's a trend now that's happening where Asian men are marrying African women, because a lot of Asian men are moving into Africa. They're building different countries in Africa to build infrastructure. And it's kind of like where China was years ago, where the US was going into China building infrastructure, right, and investing. And now China's doing that, and the men are there, and they need women. And what women are there? African women. So they're marrying them in Africa. So I don't really see the point. I don't see the difference. I don't really see why people would say there's anything wrong with it. Okay, so let me look at some comments before I get off of here. I have stated my truth. I've stated the data that I have seen. Let me see here. What are in your tabs? Apostles trying to figure out what's in my tabs. I have a bunch of tabs open. I got my mail up. I have my HR, because I'm working on recertifying my HR certification. So I've got tabs up for that. I have, oh my goodness, Washington Post. I have a bunch of different studies on another video that I want to do coming up soon, that goes into women's pay. So I want to break that down a little more, because I had a lot of questions on that. Got a couple tabs for shopping, doing a little shopping, and then, just random kind of things, StreamYard articles that I am reading, and then just want to keep up because I want to go back to them. I don't want to close the tab yet. It's bad. Life of a recruiter. Recruiters definitely do this a lot. Every recruiter I've known has had an issue with having multiple tabs open. You saw the title immediately and hopped on. Rice and beans. You probably would have enjoyed the questions that Apostle was asking me earlier about. He was digging it. He was like, "What are the details, Jessica? What type of guys are you into?" So we talked about that a little bit earlier. As one who follows careers, what's your optical age for marriage, do you think? You know what? What's interesting is a lot of the women that I have worked with, a lot of them have little small kids, and they are in their 40s, like mid 40s. White, I can't say Black, like the couple of Black women I know, they are like in their 30s and they have kids. But I've been seeing a trend, especially I think because now I'm working a lot more with folks in New York, and they do things, I think, just later there. People kind of party in their 20s, 30s, whatever, focus on their career and stuff, and then they settle down maybe around 40. At least that's what I've seen with New York career-minded folks. I would say it just depends on, I think it depends on what the person's plan is for the future. Like for a woman, if you're planning on being a CEO of some company, you're probably going to have kids later in life once you've developed it. And then the same for men sometimes. Sometimes men are like, hey, I want to be very financially sound. I want to have this business going before I have kids. So I feel like for men, it may be like in 30s, 40s ranges of ages. And we know like with health of men and women, because it affects men and women, like the quality of your stuff, once you're in your 40s, 50s, they say isn't as good as like 20s and 30s. So, and this goes for women and men. So, I mean, I think 30s, 40s is probably more ideal for people that are career minded. But then if you're not as career minded for a woman, you may want to have your kids in your 20s or 30s. It just depends. I think everyone's scenario is different. And then also when you think about your career for women too, I think it's all about the flexibility. And so if you're in a place where you want to keep your career and you're in a place where you have a flexible environment, I think it works. It just depends. It really depends on the person and what type of, support you have. Like it's going to be different if you are two single people and you don't have grandparents nearby or people that can help with the kid, with the child rearing and things like that. Do you have enough money to pay for daycare and things of that nature? I remember a girl I worked with, like, I don't know, it was like 2014. I was just getting started with recruiting, my job, my like grown-up job. And she had told me that she was going to stop working and her husband was going to take care of her and the kid. She was going to have another little one because it just made more sense. Like she wasn't making enough to even cover like the daycare. Like it just didn't make sense. Like it was either about the same, and it was like, why are we paying for daycare? Because daycare is really expensive. So it's like, unless you're making more, you're bringing in more money than the cost of the daycare, it's pretty tough. And I do see that being a really big issue coming up for employees and employers, because how do you ask people to come back to the office when we need to take care of these kids? When people have been working remotely for like a year and we've got these kids, like who's going to take care of the kids? So you may see more of an exodus. And I've been seeing within the pandemic, we saw an exodus of women out of the workplace. I think that will happen more if companies go back and say like 100% of the time, we need you in the office. I think you'll see a slight shift. I think it'll be better if we do like a hybrid model stuff. No, it's just like random things. Hey, Mr. 100 Rounds, how are you? Welcome in. We kind of had our discussion, so I broke down what I wanted to break down, and so now we're just having a chit chat. I think the previous generation generally married young, and the new generation seems to think more about economics. Yeah, I agree with that. And, who's to say one is better than the other? Because previous generations, for a man to take care of the home and the family was very natural. And, now it's not. It's like, you have the man, you have the wife a lot of times, both bringing in the income, like trying to balance out the work and the kids. And it's very interesting. Very, very interesting. Do you write case studies or research papers? No, I don't even think I want to. In 2021, no. In the future, who knows? I have been writing a book. I put it on pause, but I probably need to bring it back and I know I've been talking about it for a while, but it's more of a short book to help job seekers. It's nothing in depth. So I just need to do it. Just need to find the motivation to do it. Hey, Swarthy, what's up? How are you? So I talked about, Swarthy, all the points that basically lead me to say, yes, Black women should definitely date interracially, particularly just thinking about a small pool of people. If there's a small pool of people for you to choose from, it only makes sense to go to a different pool or expand your pool or something. Like it just doesn't make sense to think something's going to happen. Like with the book, I always go back to the book. Who moved the cheese? Who moved the cheese? For those that are just waiting around, you're seeing these changes happen and you don't change yourself. it becomes very difficult for you to gain what you need to gain in life. So yeah, to look at stats like, just to bring it back up, to look at these stats where we're saying 22% of all Black male newlyweds in 2008 married outside of their race, compared with just 9% of Black female newlyweds. And then among Asians, 40% of Asian female newlyweds married outside their race in 2008, compared with just 20% of Asian male newlyweds. I mean, I would think both groups, both groups. It probably makes sense to just expand your dating options. I don't know. I know there are channels that say like, hey, no, this is not the way. Like, you shouldn't do that. Black women and Black men must be together. And I just don't think that's true. I think we're just in this place where, if you live, especially you're living in the United States, that's just not true. We're a melting pot. And one, we need to, as a group of people in this country, learn to get along with each other. And who knows, maybe interracial marriage is the key. Like, we're marrying each other, we're figuring out like, oh, we're all human. Finally we get that breakthrough of like, oh, we're all human, and the society gets better. Because right now, a lot of what I see is that we just have a bunch of division, and we've had a lot of division for a very long time. And it's like, what is the key? In history, a lot of times what the key was to bring two cultures or two countries or two fighting countries together, a lot of time marriage. So I don't know if that's 100% the answer, and I'm not saying like everybody should just like forget their culture and all of that, but I think that those that are open to it should definitely explore. Like, I'm not even saying marriage, I'm just saying dating, expand your options. Because for me, I actually learned a lot more about dating from dating interculturally, from dating, like, for example, I remember dating an Indian man, and his perspective on courting it like blew my mind. And he told me about, because he liked to give gifts, and he told me about the story of the Taj Mahal, and about this man who gifted the Taj Mahal to his wife. And he was basically kind of making the comparison, like, this is a grand gesture, like, I'm giving you this. Like, he imagined what a man would do to show his admiration or love to his woman. And that like kind of blew my mind. I'm like, wow, I've never been the same since. but yeah, like, if I had not dated interculturally, I would have missed out on that perspective. And if you're not dating, just like get a diverse circle of people around you. At least like meet people outside of your group. Because here's the thing, I think and I see some comments, so I'm going to address those. For a lot of the Black women that adamantly say, like, I only want a Black man, what I've noticed generally is that they're typically only around Black people. And so that would make sense because you're only around them. But if you're expanding your group and you're exploring and you're hearing from other women even about what their husband, what their boyfriend, what their whatever did for them, I think it will lift your standard a little bit. Because with some of the women I've seen, they want more from their men. And then others, they don't really have the expectation because they just don't know. They don't know that men are out here doing X, Y, and Z for their women, right? Or they haven't seen it. Or they didn't know any men that do that. Or they don't know any women that have experienced that. So personally, for me, I don't think people should just put themselves in a box for themselves and not expand and not explore, because you just never know. Apostle had brought up the idea of soulmates. I mean, if soulmates are real, I don't believe in that, but if soulmates are real, your soulmate may be in a different package. So who knows? Yes, Dorothy, don't limit yourself. Exactly. Don't limit yourself. It's like, I would tell that to a job seeker, like, don't limit yourself, like, explore your options. Like, okay, if you only want to work at a Big Four accounting firm, That's great. Maybe it doesn't happen right now. Explore other options because you may get a fantastic opportunity here. Keep that same goal in mind if that's what you want, or you may find that forget, forget Big Four accounting. I love this. I love this atmosphere. You just never know. So if you keep your options limited, you miss out on a lot of that. You miss out on a lot of learning and a lot of just great experiences that you can have. Rice and Bean says, I tend to agree with you on soulmates. If soulmates are real, don't you find it odd that most people find their soulmate within driving distance? Yes, right? So my soulmate is just, it happens to like live down the street for me. Okay. Or I just happened to meet my soulmate in high school. Right. Exactly. And here's the thing too, because so here, I personally don't think people should, again, personally, I don't know if people should always have the plan of dating and marrying someone when they're like 18 or 20 or 21 or whatever, because science tells us that you're not actually developed as an adult fully until you're like 20, 25, 26, 27, somewhere within those age ranges, which blew my mind. I was like, what? But you're not like fully developed until then. So let's say you think you find your soulmate, you marry your soulmate, and then 10 years from now, you're a totally different person because you've developed, you've evolved, you've become an adult that you should be, and now it doesn't work out. So I think that's definitely an interesting point, Rice and Beans. I agree with you. I do agree with you. That is so funny. So many of my friends are waiting on African American men, which there is nothing wrong with, but don't spend a lifetime using race to be the gatekeeper to love. Yeah. And Swarthy, I would love to know what are the age ranges of those women that are waiting for love. Like, I would love to see like how long are they waiting, right? Because yeah, I mean, and I get it. Like, some women are just like, hey, I just want to date. I do not want a man. Like Oprah. Oprah is like, I'm not marrying you, but we can be friends. We can be lifetime partners, but we're not getting married. I get that. But even in that case, typically people want a partner at some point. At some point in your life, you want a partner. And then on the other end, at some point in your life, you may feel like, I'm done with having a partner. I just saw this lady's TikTok. She's an older lady. She's a grandma. And she's like, I don't want to date your grandpa. I was like, I feel that. But yeah, Sorthy, I would love to know the ages of the women, because with the sociologist, Miss Cheryl, I can find her last name, I don't remember, Cheryl Judas, that was a lot of her point, that she was seeing that her friends who were in their like 40s, 50s ranges, she said they had never found like love. They did not have that romantic relationship with anyone. And it's just like, at 50 years old, you haven't found, like, you haven't had a romantic relationship. Like, oh my goodness. That is terrible. And so no wonder she's saying like date interracially, of course. And here's the thing too, like, naturally for Black women, generally you will see, and there's that saying of like Black don't crack and all that, but Black women, like, even in my family and just whenever I come across a Black woman that's like 45, 50, and it's like you have to do a double take and you're like, what? You're what? Even in my workplace, I remember I had my mentor, she was the same age as another woman, and like night and day with the aging. It was like, yeah, you look your age, and then I'm like, what? You're what? No way. And you're what age? You're 50? No way. So it was, yeah, it's interesting, because for women that are just gracefully aging, very feminine, all these things, to not experience love that's crazy, in my opinion. So I could see Cheryl's argument of that, but I think it would have been nice to see more holistic data from her. And then just saying like, hey, none of my friends have found love. They need to date. You need to date white men. Like what? How did we get from how did we get from here to here? Um, but anyway, so if I want to marry an Indian girl, I need to build a skyscraper. Taj Mahal, quite the high standard. Yeah, and okay, so he was literally just he was making this statement for me because I was a little apprehensive about receiving, a gift, and he was painting this picture of like this is to show that I care for you. Like this is for me to share, like to show that I am very interested in you. All of these things. And so he was trying to make that example like, hey, a man would do this for a woman that he cherishes, right? So yeah, I'm not saying that if you date an Indian girl, you need to get her a skyscraper. Hi, God with us together. Hello. Emmanuel from North Carolina. Hey, welcome in, Emmanuel. I like that name. They are early 30s and early 40s. Wow. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I would say to them, yeah, just date whoever, like date who you naturally bond with. And I do think a lot of the times you probably will date the people that are within your community, within your, like, if you're a part of organizations or your work or you're this or that, you go to your alumni from school naturally. And then if you're a part of things that are tied to Black culture, you're probably going to find someone that's of the Black community. If you're in more mixed groups, you probably will, find someone that may be of a different culture. I think, just be open. And again, I'm saying date. I'm not saying marry. I'm just saying date. Like, and if it leads to marriage, great. But, you should definitely experience other people of different backgrounds. Because like for me, like, how could I say like, hey, we need diversity and inclusion at work and not say we need to diversify in our personal spaces? Because naturally the people that come to work, they have personal lives. They're the people that we see and pass on the highway. They're the people that we come across in the grocery store. And I mean, it should all kind of trickle over. I think we should be more open to the idea. Now I get it in certain cultures, you're like, hey, I want to date a Black woman. I want to date a Black man. I get it. I 100% get it. But I think when you completely limit your pool, like the whole group, just the whole group of Black women just saying like, nope, nope, nope. I think that's tough because you find yourself in this point where there's not like the men to women ratio. It just doesn't add up. Like there's certain areas of the country, like Houston, for example, where there's more men than women. Like it's a nicer dating pool for women. So, and then there's other places like Dallas, actually, where it's the opposite. And you have more women than men compared. So it's like, you have to think about that pool. Let me see. I met my ex when I turned 30. I wasn't looking per se, but I was open. Interesting. Very cool. For some reason, I can't see other comments. Let me see if I think I'm frozen. Wait. Okay. It says new comments, but I can't go down. It's so weird. Let's see if I can do anything from my phone. Oh, okay. I see you sorting now. That's possible. I met a Christian woman years ago that never dated or had a boyfriend. Wow. Was she like, that sounds like she had a background like mine. Like I was kind of sheltered. So a lot of things I did later in life. But wow, not that late. I felt like it was later in life, but maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Maybe it was good timing. Wow. So she wasn't. Okay. And was in her 70s? She said that she wished she had the chance to be in love in her lifetime. Oh my gosh. That's wild. I was in my 20s at that time, and it woke me up. That's when the scales fell from my eyes, and in a sense, wow, that's wow. Hold on, let me make that again. I met a Christian woman years ago that never dated or had a boyfriend. Wow. Oh my gosh. That's crazy. That's wild. Okay, let me see here. The ones in their 40s are terrified by dating as well. They become so comfortable being alone. A quote I heard on video. Oh, I could see that. Like for me, I actually haven't been alone for a while. Not when it comes to dating, but my mom and I have been living together for a long time, and I didn't get my own apartment until 2018. So 2018. So 2018, 2019, 2020, 21. So I've been alone for 4 years. And not really, because I also had a roommate. But yeah, so like as far as living alone, it's kind of weird. Like when I first moved here to Dallas, it was a little weird to do that. Let me see. But I could totally understand that. You get comfortable with being by yourself and you like it. I get it. Oh, thank you. Hey, Miss Full Roller. What is going on? How are you? Women that are single for a long time use purity as their identity. Oh, interesting point, Swarthy. Oh my gosh. Wow. So okay. So I definitely know single women that are like single, but I wouldn't call them pure. I would just put it like that. But I mean, I also, like for Christian women, I definitely get I'm going to focus on the church. I've definitely seen that standpoint for a lot of Black women. Like I am going to focus on my church. I'm spending time in the church, and I'm just like, that's nice if that's really what brings you happiness. But at the same time, the minute the church are typically married or not into women or not Christian in the actual literal sense, like they're not actually morally right. They're in there trying to get what they can get in there. It's interesting. So I don't know. Yes, thank you. Please do hit the like button if you are enjoying the chit chat. Zachary says, I'm a younger millennial who also came from a very religious and single sex education and simply haven't had the opportunity to date at all. Starting to wonder if I've developed issues with intimacy. Interesting. Yeah, that's so interesting that like when you come from a very religious background. Yeah, I think it plays an impact. It does, because when you think about the church, everything is like, I mean, honestly, and the reason why I backed away is everything is wrong. It's like you can't, yeah, it's just like everything's wrong. It's not really focused on, in my opinion, building healthy relationships that are realistic. Like, it's like, okay, everything in the Bible is literal or it's not. But it's like sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. This is what it really means. And then when it comes to like women and how we should be, it's literal. But with men, it's so I don't know. And I think too, you have to I think a lot of brainwashing also happens in the church. I do believe that. Oh, I have a grocery delivery. So give me 1 second. I'm back. I thought everyone was going to be gone by the time I got back. Thanks, guys. Let me see what's going on. So, I mean, the Christian women that I know. Ah, gotcha. I think that depends on the person. Women who are not of the damsel in distress way of being, many times are not appealing to men as, oh, men find them threatening. That I definitely get that. Yeah, I can see that, and I can actually understand that a lot because if you have two people that are like, okay, so you have a man who is very masculine and he's like, hey, I take care of, I take care of like providing for the home, protecting the home. I'm making the decisions primarily, talking with the wife, hopefully. Because there are some men that are just like, they don't consider the wife and vice versa. The woman doesn't consider the man or the husband. So if you have someone with that mentality, but then you have women, Black women, who are actually raised and educated to be masculine, because if you think about it, single motherhood, what does single motherhood do? It forces women to play more in their masculine energy because they have to now be a mother and be a father in some ways because they're providing and protecting fully themselves and their kids. Versus when you have a man in the home, you see that the father is doing a lot of the protecting, providing. Now, yes, mothers are protecting their kids too, but you have kind of that, I guess, backbone. And so when you have children that see this, the men learn that, oh, this is what mom is supposed to do. The girls learn, oh, this is what mom is supposed to do. And it's kind of backwards. It's a little backwards when you look at other races. If you look at Asian, white, Hispanic, typically, like, you don't see a lot of that. But I mean, you do see it because we're in we're 2021. Come on. A lot of women of all races are saying, I can do whatever. I can do everything a man can do. And I think some things, yes. I think women are highly undervalued and underestimated. However, when you get to the physicality, when you get to the physical, like, men run faster than women. Men naturally gain more muscle than women. Men are naturally going to be stronger than the average woman, right? I'm not talking about someone that has, taken steroids or taken enhancements or is at the gym every single day and, all of this and competing with a pretty typical man that doesn't work out. I'm talking about the average man, average woman. So it is interesting. That's an interesting point. I do get that. So getting back to your point, Miss Swirl, like, when you do have two people that are very masculine, there's no compliment. How do you compliment each other if you're both feeling like you're in the same role? Right? I think in every dynamic, even in friendships, when you see two people that are just too much like each other, they both want to play the same role. They both want to be the leader of the group. They both want to do there's friction that happens versus in a natural group where you see people that are, one is going to be the leader, one's the helper, one's the communicator, one's this. It naturally flows. And I think that's how things should be. This is why you have to have diversity. So you have to have a mix of different people. And so when you have a household where both are trying to be the head of the household, whatever you want to call it, or they want to play the same role, I think you will fall into some issues. So I could see issues for the woman and the man. And so that's an interesting point, Ms. Baroller. But I don't think that women should all have to be damsel in distress. I don't agree with that. I do think that I do believe in the traditional roles, though. Like, I don't think that women should just be out here like, oh, I can't protect herself, can't do anything. Like the, what is it, Sleeping Beauty or all these Disney movies, which have brainwashed us. No, I don't think we should be, I don't think we should be like that. But I do think that, we should understand the role that each person plays in the home. They want you to need them, right? Right. Yes, if they're needed. And so you find in a lot of Black households, we saw stats a while back where it was like 82% of Black women are breadwinners. So if you're the breadwinner, naturally, you're probably going to be like, I'm running this show. Tag on someone that's, a highly motivated career woman, all these things. And it just depends on the dynamic, I think. But then you can also have power couples where both were doing, both were career minded, both were doing their thing. But I think it would have to be very balanced. Like, you kind of leave some of that stuff at work. And so what happens when you're working remotely, though? I don't know. It's interesting. It is interesting because I don't think naturally that dynamic can play out really well long term if you have two people that are in the same type of energy. I just don't think so. I think you have to have that balance in the home, and energies should complement each other. Or the man has to be less masculine, a more feminine man, because it's a spectrum, right? I'm not fully feminine. I have some masculine energy too. I would have to. Just like men, not all men are just 100% on the masculine spectrum. It's kind of like our discussion where we talked about introverts, extroverts. We're not 100% extrovert. We're not 100% introvert typically. So, anyway, let me look at some comments here. Are men wanting a mother figure that they can date? You know what? I think some men do. I love how this turned into, I love our chats. Our chats are so organically awesome. Yeah, some men do. I think some men do. I also think that some women want a father figure. They want to date a father figure. It's very interesting, but that may be some childhood issues. Oh my goodness. I know, Swarthy. Right, exactly. I know. Playably says, yes, men want to feel needed. I agree with that. And you know what? Here's what I think. I think both men and women want to be needed. I think it's just different ways that naturally happen. So for men, most men, because I know men that don't want to do this, but most men, if you were asked a typical man, do they want to be the person that is protecting and providing from the home? You're probably going to get more yeses than nos. And, even providing for the home doesn't always have to seem financially, or protecting the home doesn't have to be financial. It could be, can you put together furniture? Can you build something in the house? Can you do things that most women physically either can't or may not want to do? So I think you have to think of it that way as well. It's not, and I think everything is kind of caught up in this financial. It's all about the money. Can the guy buy me this? Can the guy buy me this and that? But you have to think of it full circle. There has to be like, what's the character of this person? What's the economics looking like for this person? What's the trajectory? What's the education? What's the mindset? All of that. Because why would you want a rich man if he can't even keep his money, right? If he's not financially smart, if he blows it every night at the strip club, or if he, I don't know, gambles, or all these different things. So it's a weird environment that we're in, because I think some girls are actually being led astray a bit because of this whole culture of buy me a Birkin bag. And it's like, what are you gonna do with a Birkin bag? Like, I mean, I get it. Like, yes, you want to focus on the financials because a lot of women haven't been considering that, but there's definitely more. Men offer more than just bringing home the bacon. Personally, that's what I think. I think that men do more than just bring home the bacon. So yes, I think men are needed in the home. Zachary, we also don't really have the idea of pairing up or exploring until it's too late for it to feel natural. Lack of sisters didn't help each other. LOL. Now we've suddenly supposed to get married. Um, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like this didn't come about in enough time for you, right? So it's like you wish you had known or you had been taught these things earlier. Is that what you're saying? Because I can get that. Um, and, I think it gets back to the mothers, somewhat the culture and the education, the miseducation, right? Um, I wish that, I do wish that more women, our mothers, grandmothers talked about this early on. Now, there are some women that do. Like if you look at a Marjorie Harvey, for example, I am sure she has taught her daughters the way. I'm sure she's taught them. But that's just not the norm. It's not the norm. Swarthy says, "Good to know, playably." Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of men. I definitely agree with playably. I think that's really important. But I do think, too, yeah, men are not just banks. I think that men should bring more to, the relationship or to family. I just watched this movie called Sleeping with the Enemy last night, and I was just like, oh, it was terrible. And if you haven't seen the movie, it's basically Julia Roberts and some other actor that I don't know the name of. He's wealthy and everything, treats Julia Roberts, his wife, well from a financial standpoint, but he's morally just corrupt, just morally, just wrong, just not a good guy. And it's like you have to have a mix of a lot of different things. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent with that one. Let me look at some more comments. I don't want to feel needed anymore, though. The relationship turns into a daughter-daddy dynamic. I'll take a woman with her own. Interesting. So you want a daughter-daddy relationship? So like you're a sugar daddy, playably. I think what? I think it would be weird for it to feel like a daddy-daughter relationship. That's just weird. I think. Yeah, I don't even know where to start with that. I don't even know where to start. Um, but it sounds like in that instance, playably, um, you felt like maybe the other person wasn't bringing into the relationship, because I do feel like even in a dynamic where, okay, the man is taking care of everything financially, there are things that women bring into relationships that are maybe not tangible, like you can't put necessarily a price on it immediately. So I don't know. It's interesting point. Well, I hope things work out for you, playably. Oh my goodness. Dolakas community, you got a seat? Hello. Welcome to the show. Are you on a plane or a train? You're in the theater. You're checking out the show. I see you. I see you. This is an interactive show. I love it. Yes, definitely. Right, on a different, on a physical level. Exactly. But I do think mentally women are underestimated. I think mentally we can do the same thing as men. I think emotionally, obviously, we're different. And I also think slightly spiritually we're a bit different, because I don't think men, I 100% do not think men have intuition. I think that only comes for women. If you're a natural woman, I think you have intuition. And, obviously physically, we're just different. I personally don't agree with this whole idea that men and women should be playing in the same league of sports per se, because I mean, what happens when someone's seriously injured by something a man naturally would have done to another man? I think we have to question that kind of stuff. But that's just me. And I'm not a feminist. I'm not like a traditional feminist. So I do not agree with the whole, we're 100% the same. No, we're not. Like, there is science that proves that we're not the same. Sorry to burst the bubble, but we're not. Let me see here. That's natural, relating compatibility, based on traits which are inherent in both male and female in varying degrees, which defines us as individual and apart from each other. Yeah, exactly. And I'm reading really slow because, like, on my phone, I'm like, what is this? However, roles have been wholly assigned based on physical body parts, which have been destructive for both men and women. Men, of course, can't bring children into the world, but they can raise them. Oh, I agree, for sure. Men can raise children. Okay, so here's my thought on that, Miss Fuller. So yes, men can raise children. I just feel like there has to be that dynamic because, I mean, who are the kids normally asking for? The mother. Where is the mom? Who, after the kid is birthed into this world? Is that a word? After this kid is here, little Timmy's here. So Timmy's hungry. Who naturally has that ability to feed this little Timmy? I would, as the woman. So I'm able to feed Timmy, and my body has literally catered a full meal based on Timmy and what his needs are. And for men, it's like nature is telling us our role, but I don't think we want to listen. We don't. We're like, nope, we're gonna do this way. Nope. Nope. But yes, I get your point, Miss Roller. I just, for me, I'm kind of in the middle on the whole, like, I guess feminist, a lot of the feminist points. I don't think men can raise children the same as women. I just don't. I don't think it's equal. And again, I believe that because naturally we're built to not only birth the child, but also care for that child after they're here. And we have that natural intuition as well. So, like, I think there has to be a balance of the man and woman. Like, we see this movement right now, women saying, like, hey, I don't need a man to have a baby. It's like, well, you don't. Technically, you just need to, there's centers, there's things you can do. However, there's a reason why two people raise a child, because there is a lot of work. And for the child, they miss out when there's not two parents. They're missing out on, the value that a father brings and the value that a mother brings. Nothing wrong with anyone dating outside their race. However, until society's mindsets break out of limiting conditioning, each must be mentally strong to deal with the added stuff that comes with it. Yes, very true. Very true. Yeah, that's true. I think, you know what? I think that the motive for dating outside of your race should be in a good place. Like, I don't think, because we've seen these different sayings, or we've seen these stories of someone saying, I want to date this race because I want to have a baby that looks like this. I remember this white girl going viral. I can't remember her name, but she's really popular. And she was like, I don't want a baby that looks like this. And she showed a picture of herself as a baby. I want my baby to look like this. And she talks very, like, black, quote unquote black, or I shouldn't even say black. I should say, what you would think of like a country person talking, or ghetto, or whatever you want to call it. Please don't take that any kind of way, but I'm trying to get you to understand how she talks. So, kind of stereotypical. So she's like, I don't want a baby that looks like her as a baby. She wants a baby that looks mixed. She wants her baby to look, quote unquote, beautiful. So she didn't think she looked beautiful. She wanted a baby. So she dates black guys. And I think that's the bad intent. the same as I would think for a Black woman if she was saying, oh, I just want to date, I want to date Brad because I want to have a mixed kid. I think that's a bad intention. That's weird. The same as if you just want to date someone because, oh, they have a lot of money. And it's like, you're going to marry them and live with them forever because they have a lot of money? Okay, good luck. Good luck with that. You may fall in love during that time, or it could end really badly. It's like flipping a coin. Like, good luck. So, but yeah, I think you do have to deal with things, but I also feel like you have to deal with a lot being a Black couple in this world that we call America. And so I don't know. I don't really, especially like, I think it depends too on where you live and stuff like that. And then the mindset you have and the family, because you think about like the kids are going to grow up and who are you going to be around? A lot of times it's going to be your family. So what's the mentality of the families? I think that, Miss Swirler, 100%, because I've always thought about that whenever I've ventured out. It's like, okay, so the last guy I dated, I asked them, like, how is your mom going to feel about me? And they were like, oh, yeah, she'd be fine with it. Like, she doesn't care as long as I'm happy. That's what they said. I don't know. But you never know, because you can even meet someone and it seems fine, and yet they're totally against it. Like in the movie Guess Who, and I haven't seen the old one, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, but I've seen Guess Who with Bernie Mac. And, it was a lot of tension. A lot of tension. So I would not want anything like that happening. Let's see. Zachary says, one day we'll all become androgynous robots anyway. See, and I talk about it on the channel because I keep saying we have to learn to get together and get to understand each other and get along, because pretty soon we're going to be working right alongside robots and we're going to be talking about the robots. Maybe that's what brings humanity together. I don't know. Something's going to, you guys know I've said some wild things on here. I've said like, either the dinosaurs are going to come back, aliens are going to come down here, we're going to have some random common enemy, I don't know. Or yeah, the robots figure out that humans are, flawed, and they're like, take them out, and then we got to band together. I don't know. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm just saying, in my mind, I'm like, what can bring us together? Just like, I don't know, because we're just so... Sometimes I lose hope a little bit, because it's just like within our own groups, I feel like we're losing a bit of humanity, because like when you look at the news and you're like, how does a person do this to someone? But yet there's outrage when someone does something to a dog or a cat. Not saying, I love animals, so I don't think that's right. But like, there's outrage for this, but like, humans killing each other, it's like just normal, just regular news. I don't know. It's sad. Okay, Miss World says, going off on a tangent, kids are only constantly asking for the mom after the breastfeeding process. It's a societal condition. I'm not a feminist, but more of one who believes we all have individual traits that are needed. Okay, I get that. Yeah, because we're the one feeding him. He or she. I get that. Savage. Hello, Savage scientist. Welcome in. I love my Black women, but I don't mind dating outside my race. There are some beautiful, fine, white, fine sisters. Exactly my point. That's why I keep saying, like, for Black women that are like, I'm not attracted to anyone with Black men, but I'm like, have you seen Jason Momoa? Have you seen Chris Hemsworth? Have you seen these men? Like, what? Like, you don't, like, I get if you don't want to date them, but like, come on. Just come on. This specimen right here, come on. And, Paul Walker, may he rest in peace. I'm just like, how? Like, how? I don't know. Let me see. A deep and awesome commentary there. Yes. Well, Miss Swirl always has to come through. She's either going to educate or she's going to say some profound, something deep in the chat. Like I love when Miss Swirl Roller is able to grace us with her presence. And then she finished, so let me wait. So kids are only constantly asking for the mom after the breastfeeding process. It's a societal condition. I'm not a feminist, but more of one who believes we all have individual traits that are needed and not defined by society. Got it. Had to put those two together. Let me see here. Most that. You guys are talking back and forth. Hello, Ortho or Otho. Otho Williams Jr. Question: do you not feel as Black women are chasing other race males? Part 2: why don't Black women go for the same lame Black men as they do white male? That's funny. So do I feel that Black women, do I not feel that Black women are chasing other race? No, I don't. I see more Black women waiting and hoping and praying that a Jamal is going to marry them, or marry them after having his 3 kids or whatever. Like, no, I don't see Black women chasing after other race men. I do see Black men chasing after other race women, and other race women talking bad about how they can like not shower and the Black men will still love them. And I'm just like, ew, that's gross. That's really gross. But yeah, it's interesting. No, I haven't seen that. I do see that women my age and younger are opening up to dating Black men, but I would say those older, maybe than 35, are probably still in that mindset. But generally, this is just me looking, just kind of, reading the room, reading what's happening online and what's happening in my peripheral as I go about day to day. And, I haven't seen it. I really haven't. Really, all I've seen is the Black men really chasing after other types of women, which is okay. That's what they want to do. I think for Black men, though, I think for Black men, it can benefit them economically, and it can also hurt them economically to do that. I think for Black women, looking at data that's showing how well they can get out of poverty, and how if they stay in their community and have a child, their rate of getting out of poverty lessens. It makes me think that if they're interracially dating, they're probably going to benefit economically as well. So there's that. And then the other question: why don't Black women go for the same lame, corny Black men? Well, maybe it's because there's less of them. Because when you look at stats where you're seeing white men that grow up in poverty, only 22 or 21% actually stay in poverty, compared to over 50%. I think it was like 52% of Black men stay in poverty. That's probably why. That may be why, because there's probably a bigger pool of these, what you're saying, corny or lame, corny Black men. But I do also think there's a little bit of this whole, even when you think of the school system. So if you go to a Black school, there's definitely this whole narrative that's created. I talked about it earlier, though, of this Birkin bag mentality, or like wanting to date a rapper, or wanting to date certain type of men. They're just not right. Like, it's just not. It's just not. But also for the Black boys, a lot of times that's really what's pushed, for them to be a rapper, for them to be all of these different things that really don't always lead to a great career or a great life at the end of the day, if that's all that you're pushing for. I think a little bit of that, we talked about this on another video too, but I think the mentorship between Black men and Black boys, I think that needs to be increased, so that maybe there will be a bigger pool of Black men, Black boys, Black men, boys to men, that grow up and they're more high quality or less lame or corny, how you're saying. I really wouldn't call anyone lame or corny, I guess, but your words, not mine. And I'm just making a guess to what you're meaning by lame and corny. I think for my mind, lame and corny would mean someone that just doesn't have anything going on for themselves. So I would just say probably less, there's probably a less pool of those type of men. I also don't think anyone would go outside of their race dating, or they shouldn't, for someone that's less than what they would get. Like I don't really see the benefit of of that, unless you're just naturally attracted to that and that's who you love, and you love this person and they're not doing so well, and hey, more power to you. But I think for women, I think we do have to consider a lot more, because we have that possibility of bringing in life into the world, and what does this mean for the kids? So we can't just think about ourselves. We also have to think about, and I say this a lot on the channel, we have to think about ourselves and the possibility of bringing in a child and what that will mean if we're, whether it's cohabitating, dating, marrying a certain type of man. All right. Hopefully I addressed that comment. Let's see. Oh, absolutely. It's challenging living while noticeably melanated. Noticeably melanated right here. Okay. Exhibit A. That's added to by society when dating outside of their race, so it takes a strong mindset to get through it. Oh, for sure. I 100% agree, Ms. Fullroller. Oh, Playably, you're still in the chat. Hello. LOL, they are already experimenting with turning humans into robots with the vaccine. Well, that is a very scary thought right there. I don't even know what to say about that. That's a very scary thought. I have not moved forward with the vaccine, just because I would rather see it all tested out with the people that are volunteering to get it. I will see how it goes with you, and then, we'll see what happens. But I didn't want to sign up to be the test dummy. But I appreciate everyone being brave and, trying it out. Just my thoughts. I am not a healthcare professional. So, but yeah, just the timing and everything just makes me very nervous about it. But I'm also a type of person that does not take drugs in general. Like if I have a headache, I am going to most likely drink some water and lay down and be in quiet for a while until it goes away. I'm not the type of person that just pops an Advil for a headache. It's just not me. So, yeah. So yeah, no. Now, when the doctor prescribes me something specific, like, and says, like, I need to take this, sure. I haven't had that for, like, when I was a kid, I was prescribed something. But yeah, no. Pretty healthy, so I'm like, I'll take my chances. I will take my chances. Otho says, I always ask these questions. Well, I appreciate it. I mean, it's a good question to ask, Otho. And it's really nice to have a man's perspective, because I get it. I've definitely seen girls go for a type of guy that, doesn't have anything going on in life, but he looks attractive, or he looks like, I don't even know. Like, but that has never been, like, for my mom, that's always been like, no. I dated one guy and she was like, no. Like, no. But my first date actually was like probably scared out of his life, and it was just like, dating life for me was different. So I'll just put it like that. Like I bloomed late in life. I am not ashamed to say it. Not ashamed to say it. I bloomed late in life. Zachary said, well, I don't know about that. Oh, Percy is in here. Just get in here. I have to compliment the pink on you today. Oh, thank you. I love pastel pinks, as you can probably tell. I have a lot of pink. Yeah, thank you. Barry is laughing at Savage Scientist. Yes, it is. It's Sharky. Sharkfin Tech. I'm still waiting on these videos, Sharkfin Tech. I'm waiting. I can't wait for it. Oh my goodness. Black women, I think, are answering again from the societal conditioning and not necessarily from within of what they truly want in terms of dating outside their race. You know what is interesting? I've always thought this, but for Black women, there's a lot that I think that's really pushed on us, like politically even, because when you talk to Black women of different ages, especially older Black women, a lot of them are extremely conservative, and you think they would vote Republican by how they talk. Like if you just sit down with just average Black woman, Black Christian woman, maybe the over the age of maybe 40. I would say over the age of 40. Just talk to her about general things. I am telling you, the the thinking is very conservative, but then the act like what actually happens is not. So I'm like, where is this disconnect? What is going on? What's going on? I don't get it. But yeah, I think a lot of Black women would like, dating different people of different cultures. I don't know. I think it's just a lot of conditioning. I think we're conditioned to be the savior of our race, the warrior of our race, the this of our race. And it's like, no, just sit back and relax. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show, do what you want to do, and just enjoy. And I think a lot of people later in life, you kind of get to a point where you're like, who cares? I'm done. I don't care what anyone thinks. I am doing this. I go back to these movies because I'm trying to up my movie game. I've been spending a little time watching movies. So I watched How Stella Got a Groove Back, and she got to a point. She's older, and she's like, I just want happiness. So she dates this younger guy. They get married. Like she's like, I don't care anymore. And I think a lot of women need to, and men too. There are men that are like 60 and they're like, I don't care. I'm gonna get this car. I'm gonna get this girl. And I'm gonna live my best life. And I'm like, I'm not mad at you. So I think we all should just do less of the whole caring what other people think. And you guys know I talk about this whenever I talk about finance as well. Who are you trying to impress? Like, get yourself together, make sure you're happy, make sure you're set up, make sure you're stable. Forget what other people are thinking about your look or your car or this and that. Obviously, you still want to look nice. You don't want to, just not invest in yourself at all and look completely, wore down and everything else. But you shouldn't just be doing everything for other people. And I think for a lot of Black women, we're doing things for other people. And we should just start focusing on what's right for us. Because when you think about it, if a woman is happy, they're doing things for themselves, they're investing in themselves, they're taking care of themselves. Once they do start having, family, kids, they can really pour into someone else really well. You can't pour into someone else if you don't have anything. So you have to invest in yourself and take care of yourself. So that way you have something that you can pour into another person. You can pour into your, spouse or your kid or your whatever. I'm ranting, but yes, hopefully you guys get what I'm saying. I know all the heavy hitters are in here. Everyone is in here tonight. Hey, did you guys miss me? Let me see here. Zachary says, "Excuse me, as a lame and corny male, I am very offended." Hey, this was not my words, and I am just assuming that lame and corny means not doing anything in life, not really going anywhere, is what I would think. What a lame and corny male is, but Otho would have to tell me different. Like if that means something else, because it could also mean like the nerdy guy, which you guys know I'm a thinker, so that's a way to get me. Is like once you get me here, I'm like, okay, I like you. So, but yeah, I don't know exactly what Otho meant by lame, corny. I'll have to expand on that. Everyone's saying hello. The pressure from within the Black community is huge when Black women date outside their race, and hence why you don't see it as much. Yes, I will say that anytime I've been out with someone, even if it wasn't like a date, like you just go. Like I would just go for lunch with a coworker, And I worked with, you guys know, I recruited a lot of IT folks. And so what's IT? A lot of typically white men or sometimes Indian men, and not too many women. And so, yeah, I would go to lunch. There's this one guy I hired. He was really cool. And sometimes we just go to lunch. And yeah, totally got weird looks, but I'm like, I don't care. Like, whatever. And we weren't like on a date, but I think people just assume, like, hey, we're together, they're on a date. But then also, times where I've been on a date, I've gotten some looks, and they've been from women and men. I remember I was just walking with the guy I was dating, and he said this black girl gave him the like gave him the toughest, meanest, just look, like just look of disgust. And I didn't even see it. Like I saw the girl, but I didn't know that she was like eyeing him down like that. Or anything. So it's very interesting. It's not just one sided. It's not just one sided. The pressure is from both sides, both genders for sure. Otho says, okay, but that is literally what you are doing though. You're advocating and marketing. That's called chasing lovely. Chasing lovely. You're doing it right now. That I'm advocating that black women date who they want to date and date who's the best for them. Well, hey, if that's called chasing, call it whatever you want, because I am going to, you know what? I'm going to continue to do it. I'm going to continue because I think more women should feel like they should do this. They should be able to do this. Unless, obviously, if you don't want to, I don't want to like convince you that you don't, if you don't want to do something. But I think a lot of people are like, internal, like, oh, I like this person, but what is everyone else going to think, or what is my family going to think? And it's like, they're not going to be dating the person, they're not living your life, so you have to consider what's best for you, what's going to make you happy. But anyway, hey, if it's chasing, and it's probably, someone would probably think that I'm chasing another race because I'm saying, ooh, Jason Momoa is fine. Look, you go look at that man and say he's not fine, and come back to me. Savage says, I would rather be rich and lame than cool and broke. Thank you. And so, so you guys are saying that the lame meaning must mean that it's like nerdy, I guess. So I was thinking it was just someone that didn't have like anything going on with their life. So yeah, I can see like when you're younger, you don't want like the nerdy guy, but I wasn't like that. Maybe because I was nerdy, like mentally at least. I was definitely the type of girl. I like reading books. I like doing my homework. I like learning. I liked all that stuff. So I don't know. I'm different, I guess. But yeah, I wasn't as caught up on that so much, I guess. But I definitely was caught into like, I wanted to be an attractive guy. I mean, who isn't? Like, I mean, I see 50 and 60-year-olds talking about they need to look nice, So I don't know if that thinking is there, but as far as like the whole lame or nerdy thing, I mean, I agree with you, Savage. I'd rather be rich and lame than be cool and broke, for sure. For sure. Good. Not okay. No, I mean good black men that actually want to be a father, husband. Your view is very negative against black men. You think other race males are better, clear and obvious. Good luck. And actually, no, I don't think that. I am literally relaying the stats. This is what the data. So go change the data. I would love for this data to change so that we can see, look at the US Census or look at all these stats that say otherwise, or drive down a black community and not see what do we typically see in black communities? Let's be honest. Because if so many black men were doing these positive, great things in our communities, black communities would not look like they look. I mean, that's just the facts. Like, tell me differently. And not every black community looks badly, but when you generally go across the country, But, but I'm against all Black men. No, and I think a lot of Black women that push for Black women to require more, that actually makes men better. If a woman is requiring more of these, especially these young Black men, to do better with their lives, I'm not saying this whole mantra of get a Birkin bag or get some fast money. I think that's obviously the opposite of what we want. But the actual, like, get an education, get a long-term career, make a way for yourself and hold them to a certain standard, all that does is better the men in that community. I would think that would naturally happen. Partly cloudy. Hello, hello, hello. How are you? Although I will let Jessica speak for herself. I don't think she's saying other races are better than Black men. She's saying Black women should not if they don't want to. Yeah, and here's the thing too. I think a lot of people will see the video and say, "Oh, Jessica wants every Black woman to swirl." That's not what I'm saying. And literally, I took the title of an article because I was like, "Oh, this is interesting," and used it. I'm not saying that. I am saying that Black women should open their dating pool and date whoever works for them. And obviously, if they're in a pool of good quality men that are Black, they're going to most likely date and marry a Black man. But when you see stats where Black women are just not marrying at the rates of other women, which is what I showed earlier, you have to question what the pool looks like. Obviously, there's something wrong with that ratio. There's more women than men. Eligible, right? Women than men. So naturally, some women will naturally date outside of the race because they're going to look at these numbers and say, "Oh, I need to open my pool because there's only so many quality Black men in my immediate area." And I mean, you could get so granular. You could start looking at the location of where these women are and all of these different things. But generally across the country, the ratio in general, even if you're not even looking at Black people, there's more women than men generally. Well, same for us men. We like them Coke. Okay, let me read this comment. Savage Scientist. Same for us men. We like them Coke bottle looking women. I don't feel like I have a Coke bottle. My mother has a Coke bottle. Didn't pass it on to me. I mean, I'm like slim, but yeah. So anyway, well, same for us men. We like them Coke bottle looking women. You better have money because she attracting them ballers. She's attracting them ballers with that Coke bottle. Well, now you can just buy a Coke bottle. So, I'm not saying I would do that, but everyone's just buying parts. Like, I remember on a comment on one of my AI chats where they said people are going to just merge, like we're going to merge with the machines and we're just going to start. And I'm like, yeah, probably, because people are literally buying parts already. Like, we're naturally moving that way. So there probably will be people that are half machine, half human. Who knows? You guys know I think about weird things sometimes. Just like Black men for a very long time have not limited themselves to Black. Here's the thing. It's so interesting that Black men will get in their feelings when I say Black women should do just what they are doing, opening their pool. What is the difference? You would say that to anybody in a scenario where they're in a small pool and the supply and demand does not match up. It's literally just, it's realistic. It's just realistic. Yeah, that's all I have to say. It's naturally going to happen anyway. And and here's the thing, like, yes, there are plenty of people that say Black love is the only way, Black love is beautiful. I think Black love is beautiful. I also think Black and white love is beautiful. I think white love is beautiful. I think literally if we just have more love in this world, we'll probably get further along in general. Like, but we can't even get there. We're too busy hating each other. So I think yes, there should be more love in general. What is older? Wait, what is older? I don't know. Did I say something about older? Anything older than me? I don't know. Am I in the live? Am I in the live right? Yes, you are in the live. God with us together. You are in the live. Hello, hello. Black woman is the only woman part of the pink pill. Think about that, Miss Full Roller. I don't really understand the pink pill, blue pill stuff, but I've seen it. But I mean, I'm not really talking about any of that. I'm literally stating data. So we talked about the data, and I just gave my commentary of what I feel. I think people should date who they want. I think that Black women should expand on options, dating at least, because I think, and I gave my experience dating interculturally was eye opening. And obviously, I didn't marry that man, but he gave me a totally different perspective on not just dating, but also just thinking and finance and just a lot of different things I learned from that man. He was Indian, but I learned a lot from him because his mentality was just a lot different than even the men in my own community. And even his view of women and just everything was different. And so it was very refreshing. I think more people, well, obviously, again, I talk D&I. I think more people should expand and be a part of other groups to learn from them. But also, I definitely think that Black women should expand their dating pool because you will get to see what other men are also doing and what their thought processes are as well. I think you just learn a lot. I think you learn a lot when you have a diverse friends. Naturally, you learn a lot when you date different people. Like, I mean, when I meet different people, I enjoy it because whether it's dating or whether I'm just meeting a friend or I'm doing a networking or whatever, life or a recruiter. I enjoy the process because you learn so much from talking with someone. Savage Scientist says, I noticed that too, especially in the South, that more people are interracially dating. Is that what you notice more? I know I'm behind with some of the comments. But yeah, I see a lot of interracial dating down here, especially Black women. Black women do date different types of men down here. Definitely. Many Blacks don't realize that they have a Republic. Oh, you're talking about the Black women thinking. Yes, I think Black women are very conservative, very conservative minded. I don't understand I don't understand when I talk to an older Black woman, Black Christian woman, older woman, and they say all these different things about, and I won't say verbatim what they'll talk about, but things about immigration. That's a big one. Just social issues, like, for example, with the whole Plan B and like Planned Parenthood, all of that, with things about Christianity and what should be, in the country and this and that. Like a lot of like when you just sit down and talk to them about social issues, and it's like, you're very conservative, but you're voting Democrat and you're following this liberal agenda, but you don't actually want these things. Make that make sense. I don't get that. I don't get it. I don't get it. And then get mad at like Black women conservatives, like Kim Klacik. I actually like Kim Klacik, even though I don't live in Maryland, but she was a conservative running for some office. And I liked a lot of the messaging and a lot of things she wanted to do for her community. But Black women didn't support her. Not enough Black women supported her. And I'm just like, you guys want what she wants. It's so interesting to me. It's like you want the same thing, but you're so brainwashed to thinking that you have to vote a certain way. I don't know. I don't even know what you're referring to. I think for myself, you tell them. You guys play nice in the chat, but yeah, you tell them Miss Roller. Miss Roller can hold her own. So I don't know what the points are though. Let me see what Otho is saying. To have a scientist in the South or anywhere, which I don't care for. Oh, are you on the East Coast, West Coast? What's going on? Other race females approach me or think I'm great. Even Black women from Canada, other parts of the world, think Black men as me as eligible. That's fine. I think, Otho, I think you're coming from a very personal standpoint. Like, do you have like some kind of animosity for Black women? Or like you feeling like Black women just don't? I don't think, well, for example, for myself, I don't approach. And I don't, thinking of my circle of Black friends, I don't think any of them approach men. I will say of my white girlfriends, they have no problem approaching men. No problem. Like I even had I have a girlfriend. She's like, give me the phone. I'll text this guy. You need to speed this up. I'm just like, what? She's like, we need to heat this up. She's like, getting the phone for me. Like, let's text this. And I'm like, no. No. So I don't know. I think there's some personal thoughts in there from just reading your comment. I don't know where you live exactly, or why women maybe not approach you, but maybe I don't know. You could be a very upstanding gentleman. Maybe the women just want something different. I have no idea. But hey, I would think you'd be very happy that you have women approaching you. That's awesome. Because I know in my circle of friends, like the girls, we just don't approach. We just don't approach other men. I know that's interesting for men, because I know there's like, it's tough to get over and approach a woman. And in some areas, men won't do that. And so if you don't have a man approaching and the woman's not approaching, then what's happening here? But I've definitely been in locations, Missouri, where that doesn't happen as much. But even in Missouri, I've had Black men approach me. I don't think there's a problem with that. But for women, no, I don't think as many Black women will typically approach men. And again, I am literally just referring to my circle of friends. So, but hey, although you got women approaching you, that's awesome. I'd be happy if I were you. God with us together is how it has been since the beginning. A man finds a wife. What makes a woman want a man that does not care about himself clearly? Good point, God with us together. Good point. Very good point. IG FUAD for life. I'm not gonna say that. LOL, he's ignorant. Well, thank you for that comment. I appreciate it. So, which means white supremacy is no longer a problem in America. This video is not about white supremacy. This video is about people dating. People can date without being worried about white supremacy. I don't think people are literally thinking about white supremacy every single second of their entire life. If that were the case, Black men probably wouldn't be dating the offspring of white men. If we're bringing that into the picture, that makes no sense. Like, what is the argument? What is the argument of that? Make it make sense. It makes no sense. Let's see here. You can have a different opinion, but no personal attacks. Yes, keep it nice. Like I said earlier, we keep it nice in this chat. We are a cool community. I love my people. Love my friends on here. And yeah, so keep it nice. And I will just say, Miss Full Roller, you're my moderator, so do what you got to do. If it starts to get unfriendly, like I appreciate everyone's viewpoint, even Otho, even though I don't agree with you entirely. That's your perspective. And I think also your personal situation and what you've seen is also coming through at least from what I'm seeing in her chat. So, LOL, these strange comments about white supremacy is hilarious. Yeah, I don't get that, how that relates to my title. It's how it has been since the beginning. Talk about mind simulation. Are you talking about as far as like attraction? Yeah, I think the attraction mentally has to be there first, for sure. Percy, get the bag, is saying, I think Black people are just too dang picky. Too dang picky. There are intelligent Black men in the dating pool. I agree with that. There are definitely intelligent Black men in the dating pool. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I do think sometimes women talk like there are no men, like there are no Black men. None. None at all. They're all gone. They're all gone or married. I don't agree with that. There are definitely eligible, intelligent Black men. 100% agree. But Black women are programmed not to even look for that. I do think there's some programming. I do. I think there's some programming for Black men and Black women, actually, because I think for Black women, there's a lot of programming going on right now. And I keep talking about it, but this whole focus on the bag, focus on the finances, focus on what a guy's got. You know, can he get a Birkin bag? Like all these silly things that it's just like, so you don't care about the guy's character, you don't care about the conversation, you don't care about what the guy's doing, like you just want to make sure he gets you a Birkin bag. It's silly. So I think there's a lot of focus on some of the wrong things. And yes, I think Black women are being a bit programmed, but I think everyone, I will say, I think every single race of people, anyone on the face of this earth is being programmed in some way. And I also think Black men have been programmed naturally to not really desire. I don't think Black men are programmed to desire Black women in our natural state. I don't think so. Because when I look at the media, when I look at overall media and then I look at Black-owned media, the Black woman's aesthetic is not typically highlighted. So there's a lot of programming going on. Hey, Harold, how are you? What's going on? Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Zachary is saying that's why we have the axis of political and social stances. The Black community is a huge outlier in that they're socially conservative but politically liberal, right? Makes no sense. Like, what are we doing? And here's the thing. I think we should feel okay with certain groups being of a different political stance. Let's normalize that. Let's normalize you have a different stance, I have a different stance on this, and that's okay, right? Politics is something that we created as a people. And yes, it has real impact. However, either side of the fence is not a perfect answer, right? I think we have to continuously meet somewhere in the middle to get anywhere, because neither option is 100% perfect. But yeah, I think Black people are very conservative, and we just continue to just vote how our parents voted because we're programmed to vote that way. It's like we can't change. As soon as one person changes, the whole community comes after that person. It's like, what? Why? I don't understand. Swirl says on the older category, clearly don't fit the traditional mold. Hey. Yeah, Miss Swirl, you don't. I don't. Yeah, you definitely don't, because we had those conversations even about like Christianity and things, and you do not fit. You do not fit the mold, and I love that about you, actually. So it's great. LOL, we're programmed, sir, stop. Most of my socializing is through higher education and academia. The majority of men aren't Black. So I do agree that there's some programming happening. I don't think we're programmed anti-Black men. I don't know if that was the point earlier, but I do think everyone is programmed, because I mean, you can't tell me that people are spending so much time on their phones, looking at advertisement, watching TV, and seeing all these things that are programmed. Like, you literally see, this is paid programming. Like, this is their paid program. Like, they're literally, like, when you watch something, it's literally telling you this is programming. Like it's literally programming you. So it's having an impact on your mind, whether you want to call it programming, whether you want to just call it it's making some type of impact. But that's why advertisers pay money to advertise, because there are certain colors that you can use, there's certain things you can say, there's certain music, there's a lot of different things that impact other people. So we study psychology, sociology, we study these things, and we will see that. That's why a lot of money is paid to get in front of our faces. So yeah. Let me see here. Wow, you've been on for a while. I have been on for a while, Harold. Thank you for pointing it out. I've been chit-chatting. I've had a whole grocery delivery and everything. And we're still in here chit-chatting. Thank you for being here, Harold. Again, beauty is on the inside, not appearance. That is so true, but it's like, it's very true, Harold, but it doesn't actually show up in how we act as humans. It does not. Like, even in nature, Harold, we see that certain birds will have different colors to attract the opposite sex, right? And the same thing in our, for humans, for us as people, a certain look is what brings people together. It's that initial thing. And then what gets you to stay is what's on the inside, I would imagine. But yeah, I agree with that, but it doesn't actually happen. It's not really what happens. 538 has some great podcasts on that queue. Oh, wait a minute. We are only temporary here. No, as we're just here and see a Black woman talk about good men, but only say other race males are good. That's what I mean. It seems as you and other Black women are pro-pregnant. Oh, so I haven't said Black men are good. Okay. Sure. Sure. I don't think you watched my channel enough. That's all I'm going to say on that. I've never approached a guy societal with a heavy layer of cultural conditioning. Yeah, we're not, like, I will agree, like, we're not pushed to, like, go approach the men. It's just not, especially for, more traditional women. I don't think that's the norm for most. Oh, thanks, Percy. I had no idea relationships were so complicated. They are. Why are they so complicated? They should just be simple. Thank you for your super chat, Percy. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you being here. Let me see here. Otho. Black men are no good. So here's Otho saying Black men are no good. Using the numbers and demographic, this is set up that way. You're saying love other races, but not Black men. Okay, well, I'm just going to pass on your comment there. So, yeah. Obviously, the title of the video is When Swirling is Good for the Black Girl. Yeah, there are times when swirling is good for the Black girl. Period. Robert Cool Ransom sends a bunch of emojis, peace signs, all of that into the chat. Appreciate it. You are the only one saying not to love and leave Black men. Thank you. That's why I was just like, I'm not even saying anything, because that's not even what I'm saying. Like, literally, I am telling women to expand their options. I don't even think I've ever said on my channel, Black women should not date Black men. I don't even think that Black women would stop dating Black men. And I don't think Black men will stop dating Black women. I just don't think that should or will happen. But I do think that Black women should expand our options because of, again, the statistics, the math. Like, it's just, even for women in general, I think most women get this. In most cities, the odds for women are kind of stacked against us a little bit when it comes to dating. When you are only limiting yourself to a certain group, and you don't have a community that's really pushing for both the Black women and the Black men to date together. Like, for example, the Jewish community. That's a community that I would say is probably more heavily like Black men, Black women are really pushed to marry each other. The Nigerian community or Ethiopian community, like these communities, they're pushed to marry each other. Indian community, pushed to marry each other a lot, But in the Black community, no, you see Black women being pushed to marry Black men, but then you see Black men not really being pushed to do much of anything when it comes to marrying someone. Now you do have the outliers of, these families that are like, no, you need to marry a Black woman. That does happen, but generally it doesn't. And I think in that type of dynamic, it doesn't make sense because the women to men ratio in this country is off. There's not one man to every woman. In most cases, unless you're in a city like Houston or certain areas of the country, I think there's the top five where men outnumber women. Most likely the women outnumber the men. It's just, that's just the math. So, and thank you, Miss Swirl. I appreciate that. Let me see here. Percy, get the bag and briefcase. She's saying Black men are dumb. I've never said. So obviously, Otho is projecting. I think Otho believes that Black men are all of these things. So, hey, I can't change your mind, Otho. If you believe that, you believe that. What is a burqa bag? So it's spelled Birkin, and no, I do not have a Birkin bag. I actually do not invest in bags. I don't care. I invest in jewelry, and I don't even have jewelry on right now, but I do invest in jewelry, in stocks. Like, I feel like that's the only thing I really will pay money for. Oh, and shoes. I will invest more for shoes. So shoes, jewelry, because I don't do the whole paparazzi. So I'm so sorry for everyone. There's a lot of Black women online selling paparazzi jewelry. I'm sorry, I won't buy it because I just don't. I will only buy actual fine jewelry, or if it's a crystal, then I will get a crystal. Like, this is a crystal, and I'm normally wearing on my channel my emerald ring and my moonstone, and that's I keep things very simple. And I have a Swarovski little dainty necklace. I don't buy the bulky, really big jewelry. I just don't like it. I just don't love it. So sorry for anyone that sells paparazzi. We'll not do the same for their own. It's starting to get weird. Remember Black women, right? I don't even get what you're talking about, Otho. I think you have a lot of things you just need to address because you're coming in a very negative place to me, and I'm a Black woman, and you also said a lot in the chat, kind of anti-Black women. So I don't know. I think there's some feelings that are harbored in there. Yes, please hit the like button. I'm probably gonna get a lot of thumbs down from men that just think either don't listen to my channel or they just think Black women shouldn't swirl. So they're probably gonna just hit the thumbs down button, but that's okay. I don't think there was a single point in time where she said Black men are exactly. Thank you. She simply said that people are different from us, offer insight into new ways. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm not sure, but I think it's a type of designer type. Yes, it's a very designer bag. It's I think it's $50K. It's too much money, I think, for a bag. Come on. You can do a lot with. I don't know. That's a lot. It's too much. I don't know. For me, maybe my thinking is just maybe I will meet someone that tells me the value of a Birkin bag. Maybe it increases in value, and maybe that's the reason women like it. I would say if the bag increases in value, then that's great. But otherwise, I don't know if I would do that. God with us together says the ethnic terms Black for brown skin and darker, and white for tan and lighter is a lie. Interesting. Black for brown skin. Yeah. It's so interesting. Let me bring that comment back. It is interesting how Hispanics, I think Indian people are called brown skin, but Black people are called Black. But This is black. This isn't even black, actually. No, this isn't even black. My hair is actually dark brown. And I always thought my hair was black. No, I was told by my stylist, like, your hair is dark brown. It's not even black. And most black people don't even have black hair. Um, but yeah, and then my skin is clearly brown. Like, if you were to paint me right now, or if you were to draw me with a crayon, would you use a brown crayon or a black crayon to color my face? That's very interesting. And for white skin, like, the skin is not actually, well, most white skin isn't actually the color white. It actually does have a tint to it. So it's very interesting. And so white would be completely void of color. Agreed. Elbow cough. I just remember garbage in, garbage out. There you go, Harold. Exactly. See, it's true. LOL, have a good night. Hey, appreciate you being here, Ortho. You gave a very interesting perspective. I think you need to explore some issues you may have with Black women. But yeah, I mean, definitely Otho is a great example of someone that's probably going to interracially date, because he's having women come up to him and Black women are not approaching him. So he's probably going to date the people that approach him. Just like for Black women, I would say if you have different people approaching you, if you find them attractive and your only hang up is the race, I think get out of that mindset. Like, that's your only hang up. Like, I think we're too caught up on the race thing. Too caught up on it. Thank you, Miss Four Roller. Culturally earrings, I don't know what you're saying. Earrings and necklaces. Are Algerian and Ethiopian communities not part of Black community? I would say, for me personally, I think how Ethiopian and Nigerian people act in their culture, I would probably separate them from Black Americans, because our culture is different. Just like I would separate, like, I'm not saying they're not Black people, right? But I would separate them from the issues that happen with Black people that were actually born in this country, like, generations down. Even when you talk to a person that is, like, actually immigrated, or their parents immigrated here from Nigeria or Ethiopia, there are real differences. So that's what I'm saying. That's why I separate them out. And you'll even hear sometimes with people that come from different African countries, they don't really like, not all, but some don't really like being included with the Black community, because they're very bonded into their culture. Whereas with Black Americans, again, we were here generations ago, right? We were brought here to this country. We were absent of a lot of our culture. Now, we know that there are Black people that were here. They were here naturally in this country already. But I'm talking about very generally with the Black community. So that's my point. But yeah, I should probably get off of here. I've been on here for like 2.5 hours. So I will try to get off of here soon. Let me see here. I can relate. I only spend on vintage jewelry and clothes are high quality. Yes, thank you, to resell it. Thank you. Because, okay, here was my kind of epiphany moment. I had bought, like, I don't even remember. Oh, I think it was Park Lane. One of my cousins or something had gotten into Park Lane. And so I bought some jewelry. And then I just kind of bought jewelry here and there. And I just got to a point where, like, after maybe a couple of months, the jewelry got lost, or it was like not, like, it was either rusted or something happened to it. I'm just like, I literally, for the amount of money I spend on this random jewelry, I could just buy fine jewelry for myself. So I started that. So, and also some, I've also had jewelry as gifts. Like, a lot of people know I like jewelry, so I'll also get jewelry as gifts. But yeah, I totally get it. I totally hear where you're coming from. Oh yeah, and you're fine. No, I got what you're saying, I think. Bags, I think that's the dividing line between men and bags, the defining line between men and women. It's funny. 50K for a purse? Oh no, no, no. Right? I know. It's like, how much Bitcoin I could have bought last year for that. How much stock options I could get for that? No way. Why? I'd rather retire instead of own a bag. Exactly. And I think some of the mentality is that you can sell that bag for more money later. I think that's a part of the price. I definitely think that's part of it. Oh, I see. Laughing. Bags are a waste of money. I agree with that. Have a good night, Harold. The coach is on and the missus likes to watch that with me. Oh, coach? I don't even know what that is. But have fun. I don't have a $10 purse and put $995 inside of it. Thank you. 100%. Thank you. I'm just saying, I can't think of a whole lot more better things. I know that's not proper speech. A whole lot better. Yes. I can do with that kind of money. Yes, right? Like, why? Harold, see you later. Have a great night. Okay, I think I've got to all the comments. Success. Success. I made it through. So anyway, let me close this out. We looked at a couple different stats. We talked about this article that was titled, what was the title? Let me go back and see. So the title of the video is from this article that was called "With Interracial Relationships, We're Down for the Swirl and It's Good for the Black Girl." So I had to kind of break it down. They said Black men are far more likely than Black women to marry outside of the race and more likely to get married, period. Is it time for Black women to expand their search for love? And my answer to that question is yes. Everybody, expand your search for love. And I definitely think this comes to Black women because we traditionally haven't done that. But yeah, I embrace that. I think that it's very important to expand your groups of people that you're with, your friends, your dating pool, all of that. I think you should definitely expand it. I do think too that whoever I partner with should know that I am very fond of the Black community, of course, and will continue to invest into the Black community. And I think as long as that person appreciates it, I think we'll do well. And yeah, so those are my thoughts. I would say message to Black women, definitely do what's right for you. I also think that you have to consider more than just finance or just the looks or just any one thing or just, obviously race. I think we should be beyond the race consideration. You should be looking at a lot of different components of what makes this person, this human, a good person to partner with. So that is the video. Those are my thoughts on it. And I appreciate all the feedback, all the comments. It was interesting, a very interesting discussion, interesting points brought up. And just to be clear, I am not saying that Black women as a whole group should just abandon Black men. I don't think that would happen. I think most Black women are very much love Black men in their lives. And I think it's interesting that we had a couple of comments that thought otherwise. But, it happens. Let me see. What else do I want to close out on? Yeah. So here's one thing. There is this imagery that's going around from Colin Kaepernick, and he has this Black woman on his imagery for abolishing the police. I just want to take a stance and say I don't agree with that imagery. I do not want that to be my imagery. Paris Milan, I'm going to actually, let me see if I can find this for anyone in the chat that wants to sign the petition. If you are like-minded like me and think that this is not right, I'm going to throw this in the chat just because I I think is really interesting that in times that Black people need to fight and that we need to do all this political stuff, we have Black women's faces, dark skinned Black women's faces published. But in other scenarios, we're the Black women's faces. So I'm going to put this into the chat if you're interested to kind of see. Ooh, this is a long link. I don't know if it's going to let me put this. Let's see. See what happens. So this is the physician. Hopefully it shows up. Oh, it didn't show. Oh, okay. Let me try this again. Let me try to do this. Maybe this will work. I'm going to try to do a bit.ly. Let's do a bit.ly and see if this works. That is a really long link. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, so this is the one. I'm going to pin it if I can. Let me go. Okay. Okay, so I'm pinning the message for anyone that is interested in signing. I don't know if that worked. Can you see the pinned comment? Okay, it's there now. Perfect. So that's not my agenda. It feels kind of like there's a target on a Black woman's back when you paint her as the face of your movement. I think if this is your movement, you keep your face on it. You keep your face on your movement, on your book. I don't see this as a positive imagery at all. So if you go to that link, please do sign the petition to get that removed, or requesting for him to remove that imagery, because I actually don't know any Black women who are like, yeah, we need to do what he's saying needs to be done with this abolition agenda. So, because here's the thing, like, what does that mean for us? What is the plan afterwards? Who is protecting, like, even just thinking about Black women, since that was kind of the focus of this, who's protecting Black women when this agenda, if this were to actually happen, getting rid of the officers, who's protecting us? Like, who am I going to call if something's happening to me? So, yeah. So who's protecting us? There's plenty of Black women saying, protect us. And this agenda is saying, let's even get rid of the officers. I mean, it's basically saying that all of them are bad. And, let's not forget there are Black officers. There are Hispanic officers. There are other groups that are officers. It's, anyway, yeah. So please do check out the link that I pinned. I do not want my face on that. I don't want my likeness on that. I just feel like, I feel like that's a target. I don't understand the thinking behind that either. Like, what good is that going to do for me? So, love Kaepernick, but what on earth is he thinking? If anyone should know about the effects of being associated with negative memes, it's him. Exactly. Which I think is why he may not have wanted to put himself on there. Maybe he didn't want more negativity. Let's let the Black woman get this negativity. I don't know. Maybe his head was in a good place. Maybe his head was like, let's, Black women have done a lot for this community. Let's put her on this. I don't know. It could have been, like, to give him a benefit of the doubt. And I don't know a lot about him, to be honest, other than, his movement. I don't know, but I'm saying that I hope he sees that Black women do not want this imagery for ourselves. And there are some Black women that do. That's fine. But there's enough Black women that don't, that I think he should remove it. It's about rational reform. Okay, here's the thing. You don't say, I'll give an example. You don't say, let's get rid of all the banks. Banks are bad. Let's get rid of all of them. Okay, now what am I supposed to do with my money? Am I just hold it with cash? What do I do with my money? Like, what's the plan after that? What am I supposed to actually do? There needs to be planning. We don't just say, oh, let's just do this, thing that's going to change up the whole system and then put a Black woman's face on it. No, I just don't like that. Here's the thing. I would hope, and I've seen Black men that don't like it either, because if you're making this big impact and this change, I think if anything, a Black man should probably be on it, because it kind of puts them in a masculine light. It says, hey, we're doing this and we're pushing change. I actually think that would have been taken a little bit better than putting a woman's face on it, because we already have Black men saying Black women are masculine. But then, well, you could have taken this role and then it's not even there. So I don't know. It's interesting. But, it definitely could have been in the right place. I don't know his team. Maybe Black women created this art. I have no idea. Because not all Black women think like me. Not all Black women think the same. Women are very diverse. We all have different thoughts. However, I think this is why, again, you need diverse people. So even when it comes to Black people in a room, there should be diversity of those people. But I think that more thinking may have went into it. Who knows? Maybe they did this because they knew it was going to cause a stir. Black women wouldn't like it, and it brings publicity. I have no idea what publishing and entertainment and all these different things that are considered and why people do what they do. That very well could have been the thinking behind it. I don't know. I'm just saying I don't like it. I do not like it. I don't like it being a woman, especially in Texas. I don't like that. I don't like it. Hello, I was wondering what your thoughts are on Candace Owens and her opinions. I honestly have only, and hello, Better Tomorrow, I've only heard Candace in one video snippet. I feel like I should probably listen to her a bit more. I know she's a conservative Black woman. I don't know if I will agree with everything she says. I have no idea. But I did see a video that she shared a while back, and I understood a lot of her points. So yeah, I think that for me, I'm more of a moderate person. I see good on both ends of the spectrum, but I probably lean slightly more conservatively with certain issues. So I might like Candace a bit, just because I don't think the liberal policies actually help Black people in general, even though we're oftentimes voting for these policies. I don't think they help our people when you think long term. I think a lot of it is just like a Band-Aid on something. You put a Band-Aid there, you put a Band-Aid there, you put a Band-Aid there, you put a Band-Aid there. And long term, where are we at right now? So it's I don't think conservatives is the answer end all be all, but I think there's something in the middle. I think a lot of the policies that we ourselves vote for, and I put myself in there. I'm not voting for it, but I put myself in because I'm part of the Black community, of course, are hurting us, and it's hurting us long term. You may not see it or you may not be able to understand it right now, but if you think about it long term, and if you look at history, you will understand it. So I think a lot of right now, we just see people just redoing what has been done in the past. My mom voted Democrat, so I'm going to vote Democrat. I'm going to vote on this issue because, but again, when you talk to Black women, a lot of us are conservative. It's just true. A lot of women are conservative. especially old. And I would say older because I know the question came up earlier. What is older? I would say anyone over 40. And I'm just putting I'm not 40, but I will put myself in there just because I feel, you guys know I've said this many times, I feel like an older soul on the inside. So, so I feel like I just feel like mentally and internally, I feel older than what I am. But yeah, that's what I would consider older. So any Black woman that's over 40, I generally, I think, would probably be conservative, especially if she was raised in the church, and especially if she's Southern. I think, yes, I think she's probably conservative. So yes, I will listen to Candace Owens. I don't know if I'll agree with a lot of what she has to say, but I know one video I heard of her, I understood her points. I understood her points. I got it. And I think she's very intelligent. So that's my view on her. Zachary, exactly. Reimagine and reform. Thank you. Reform. Like, these are very strong words that are being used, right? Very strong words. Abolish. Closing, right? Like ending this whole thing. And using those words and putting my likeness on there rubs me the wrong way. Anytime, and I've talked about this on your channel, anytime you talk about changing anything, you're going to ruffle some feathers. You're going to rile people up. I don't care if it's like from a workplace scenario when people are talking about, we're going to change this, we're going to bring in some new this and that, we're going to we're going to change some plans, we're going to change our goals, we're going to do. Feathers are ruffled in an office environment. Now blow that up and think about a systemic thing, and you're putting my likeness on it. You ruffle feathers, and I'm saying that in a lighter sense. You're doing more than ruffling feathers. I don't want my likeness a part of that ruffling of the feathers. I'm just putting it out there. I do not want my likeness on there as a woman. Again, like, I think this is a great time to really look at Black men and, look at them and say, okay, would you like to be the face of this type of movement? And I would see him as being the face, I would see him as being the face of the movement. So I'm surprised. I'm actually a little surprised that he wouldn't put his face on it. I think that would, or maybe another celebrity, I think putting another celebrity on there, or maybe him and another celebrity, that would sell. I think that would sell. Putting a famous Black, like, I don't know, Michael, what's that guy's name who plays Creed? Hold on, let me look this up. I can never remember this guy's name. I know his name is Michael. Is it Michael Jordan? I don't know why that sounds weird. Let me see. I keep wanting to say Michael J. Fox for some reason. Like, what? I know this is completely wrong. This is not right. Michael B. Jordan. Yeah, his name is Michael Jordan. Michael B. Jordan. Put him on there. He's super famous. Put you and him on there. I think that would be brilliant. Let me see here. Abella Tomorrow saying hello to everybody. Hey, King of Kill. Hello. How are you? And I already talked to King of Kill about this a little bit. If you have joined the thought-provoking conversation, please be sure to hit the like button. Yes, thank you. And I said I was getting off of here, and here I am still talking. Let me get off of this thing. Let me end this out. I'm like closing it out and still talking, guys. I'm driving, so I'll be watching more than anything. Oh, okay, cool. Well, be safe, King of Kill. Be very, very safe. Yes, keep your eyes on the road. Be careful. Candace Owens is somewhat right-wing, brainwashed, and an opportunist, much like Omarosa. Oh my goodness, Omarosa. You know what? I appreciate Omarosa for one thing. I didn't like her necessarily, but I have to admit, for Omarosa, she is very quick with the draw. She is like, oh my gosh, I would not want to be put in a room with her trying to debate something. Oh my goodness, she will make you look so bad. And she will say very calm, cute, and all that while doing it. That's scary. Like I would not be I would not want to be in a room with her. But yeah, I can see that. I can see that. What I listened to for Candace, it was very short. So I've heard different things about her though. So that's why I say I don't know if I would 100% agree with what she's saying, but I'm sure she has some good points to share. Um, but I oftentimes don't agree 100% with everybody. Like, for example, I like to listen to Boyce Watkins. You guys heard me say that a lot, but I don't agree with everything he says either, but I appreciate him for what he does. Kevin Samuels, I don't really listen to. I talked about him a little bit on my channel. I don't 100% disagree with everything he said either. And again, I only listen to little snippets. So I think a lot of people have different points, but it's a little scary when you get to hearing the extremes. Like sometimes they have very extreme views on things. So that's when I'm like, that's a little too much for me. I don't 100% agree on that. She said, I just don't get it. Loving a political group who hates you. Yeah, it's like but for us, to be honest, either way we go, liberal, conservative, like both of them hate, like neither one of them are like, oh, we genuinely want to help Black people. No, it's like, forget it. Stop. No way, no way. So I think for most people, just sit down, look at the policies, look at what makes sense for you, because like what happens at the end of the day when either one is in office, I think is, if anything, we need to use our votes in a way where we're actually getting something before we vote for someone. We actually get something. Or if we don't get it, well, we're going to the other party. You lost us. You can win us back, but you lost us. I think we have to think more strategically with the voting instead of just the right now. Like, okay, we're gonna suffer through this 4 years, but we might have a little more leverage. If you know someone's gonna keep coming back to you, why would you do anything for them? Right? Why do anything for them if they're just gonna keep coming back? Okay, so let me close this out. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate the discussion. We'll probably have more of these. I'll keep it going. I probably won't have them every week, but we'll definitely continue having conversations like this because I do enjoy chit-chatting and hearing different perspectives. So anyway, I hope you all have a great rest of your week. And I'm trying to think if I have anything coming up soon. I don't think I have anything scheduled, but I will be setting up a few live chats next week. But with that, enjoyed you guys. Have a lovely night, and I will see you guys next time.